Hey guys, I'm the 50s Kid. This video is going to be all about impact drivers and wrenches. I get asked a lot if I recommend this Milwaukee wrench that you see me using in the videos. And the answer to that is kind of complicated. There's like a lot of information that I want to convey, so I figured I might as well put it all in a video. Now, this was the first set that I ever owned. I bought it in 2009. It's a drill and a driver. And this was like the greatest thing. You know, it's so fast. It's amazing, you know. But the problem with this is that it was just a little underpowered for automotive use. I would often find that it wouldn't get out some bolts and I'd have to switch to a ratchet and then break the bolt free and then switch back to this for speed. That caused me to upgrade to this Milwaukee recently. This Milwaukee is, well, first of all, this one they still sell. The brand is the model number is BTD142. I think the advertised torque rating is somewhere in like the 70-ish range, 73 or something like that. I'll put it up on the screen when I look it up. But this one, the Milwaukee, the model number is 2654-20. I'll leave the boot off for now. And the advertised torque rating on this is 200. So this was pretty significant of an upgrade. Now, one thing I should talk about is the difference between an impact driver and an impact wrench. An impact driver has this quick change chuck, this 1/4-inch hex quick change chuck, and in order to use that with sockets, you have these adapters. I've got one of these for each size of a socket, and I've also, you know, got adapters like this so you can change out the bits. Right? And cool thing is I've got like a set of hex bits for this, so it comes in handy when you're working on BMWs and such. The difference between this and the driver, or the wrench, obviously, is that this has a permanent anvil on it. This one happens to be a 3/8 version. So you're kind of stuck with that. You know, if you want to go 1/2 inch, you've got to use an adapter, and you always risk breaking that. At first you couldn't use these old hex bits with them, but you can get this aftermarket accessory, which, you know, they make it in both sizes, 3/8 and 1/2 inch, and that converts to the quick change. So you now can use, you know, these tools are basically identical at this point as far as use goes. One thing that kind of annoys me about this compared to this is when I'm using this with just a regular socket, often the battery gets in the way when I'm going on a deep bolt or something, right? So I often end up using like a 3-inch extension, and when I go to pull that off, the extension comes with me rather than staying with the tool. This naturally has some extension to it, and because the adapter is locked in, I can just pull the socket straight off. And so that's one thing that I like about the driver over the wrench. So these things, this one definitely has enough torque to remove lug nuts, but it's still underpowered when it comes to suspension work and whatnot. So that's when I switched to this guy. This is a super high impact version, and the model number, everybody asked me this, is 2763-20. This has an 800 foot-pound advertised torque, and I can tell you it's got every bit of that. I'm going to leave the boot off as well. It's got every bit of that and more. I actually saw somebody test this on like a torque gauge, and it can do like 900 foot-pounds, same as the Ingersoll Rand version. The problem with this is that it's so heavy, you know, especially when you're holding it above your head. If you're underneath a car or something, you gotta do something like that. It can be really, really heavy. It's a lot heavier than a 1/2 inch pneumatic. But it's got the equivalent power of a 1/2 inch pneumatic, so I never have to bust out my air tools anymore. I can just use this when I need the power. So it's really nice to have this, but it's not my daily user. This is definitely my daily user, or at least it has been up until now. Now this one, I've been having sort of a problem with this. I'm not sure if I should mention it or not. I did buy this refurbished, and like every 5 or 6 bolts, this thing will just stop working. I'll pull the trigger, nothing will happen. I'll have to switch it and then pull the trigger and then switch it back, and then it'll start working again. Not that big a deal, but it is kind of annoying, you know. Milwaukee does still offer a warranty on this, so I'm gonna be sending it in for repair. But that brings me to this guy. I just bought this, it's brand new. I bought it for about 62 bucks on Amazon.com, just the tool only. that was a deal I couldn't pass up. And the advertised torque on this is 138 foot-pounds, I believe. This is the XDT04 model. And I've been doing some tests, and this definitely seems like it's very, very powerful. But I want to do the ultimate test. I'm going to test both of these on the same bolts. It's going to be a wheel lug nut, and I'm going to use my torque wrench to make it progressively tighter and see how these things stack up. See where this thing fails and whatnot. So I do want to talk about batteries. The batteries there are two types of battery packs. There's the first generation and the second generation. Inside of these packs are just 5 of these 18650 size batteries. And there are two major, there's the small one and there's the double capacity one, right? The first generation had 1.5 amp hours, and so the double one had 3 amp hours. But they've recently increased the capacity on those batteries, so now the next generation has 2 amp hours on the small one and 4 amp hours on the extra capacity. And I've even seen some ones that are 5, not quite sure how they're doing that yet, but that might be a third generation. But yeah, those are they're all the same batteries inside. They're all Samsung industrial batteries. If you took these battery packs apart, they'd all be like reds or purple Samsung industrial batteries. So it really, the brand really doesn't matter all that much. It's really just your preference, or, you should go by the advertised torque rating, or maybe perhaps if you already have a drill with a set of batteries, why upgrade to a completely new system? You've got a charger, just get the impact driver version of whatever yours is. Really doesn't matter. They all are going to do the same job. As long as they work and as long as they have enough power, you're good. Anyway, let's put these two things to the torture test. Okay, so we're going to over torque one of these lug nuts to 120 foot-pounds. And let's go ahead and test the Milwaukee. Yeah, of course that one can do it, right? Let's re-torque it. Now let's test the Makita. Okay, that one can do it too. Now let's go up to 140. So 140. Milwaukee. Yeah, eventually it can do it too. Retorque. Now Makita. So it can't do that. So there you go. That would be the difference between the Makita and the Milwaukee. And I even used a 1/2-inch deep impact socket for this, which is the heaviest socket that you could possibly use. I didn't use my duo sockets, which are thin-walled. They can be used as impacts, but these have less mass to them. And I'm usually using these sockets on this impact gun, and that's actually kind of taking away some of its strength. If I use this to get these bolts off, I wouldn't be able to get the bolt off at the same amount of torque as I would if I was using this socket, which has more mass with this little adapter right here to convert from 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So the more mass that your socket has, the faster it's going to take off the bolt, the better the tool is going to be able to do its job. So I use the heaviest socket I have for this, and you can see where the Makita was able to live up to basically every amount of its advertising, but obviously the Milwaukee does better because it does have 200 foot-pounds. Well, there you have it. Everything you need to know to inform your decision to purchase an impact driver or an impact wrench. Thanks for watching.